Nothing will change until the individual changes. You know, that wonderful Hindu saying, when the student's ready, the teacher appears.
Right.
When the people are ready, the leadership will appear. And most of the people aren't ready yet. They're not ready physically, emotionally, spiritually, philosophically. And that's what it really comes down to, because when you are at those levels, you don't take other people's crap and you don't give it. And so you have that courage and dignity and respect within yourself. How could anybody wait online to see a clown? You know, when are they going to grow up? The way people behave, jumping up and down like little children in a peanut gallery. You know, and it just keeps going on and on. I mean, a clown like Rick Santorum or Romney, any of them, Obama, Bush, these aren't my leaders. They couldn't lead me across the street. If they were on the other side of the street and said, "Come over here, Gerald, I want to talk to you." If you want to talk to me, come over here.
Let me ask you something. When you talk about a voters boycott, which I completely agree with you about, what about this? What if 100,000 of us showed up? They're talking about a Republican brokered convention because Ron Paul has a lot of delegates. Ron Paul has a lot of power, and he actually has the backing of the people. What if 100,000 of us showed up outside of that convention? With our sign, you've got tens of thousands of people showing up to, support him at rallies across the country. What if we all show up? And, how would the media possibly be able to ignore us if 100,000 people marched around that convention center?
You won't be able to march around it. You won't get near it. Did you see the new laws they just put in where the Republicans and Democrats are going to be? I believe, what is it? The Democrats are going to be in Charlotte, I believe, and the Republicans in Tampa. In one of the places. The police can now search anybody walking the streets during the convention time. This is fascism, USSA. You're not going to get near the convention center. They're going to put you in a free speech zone.
Right.
That Orwell made up.
Right. 2 miles from the event.
Exactly.
Right.
And then again, what is it? Even if he wins, he's a part of the criminal operation called the Republican or Democratic parties.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because as you've stated and so many others have, this system will eventually take whatever you've got. If you don't have it tied down, if you don't have it in physical precious metals in your own possession outside of the system, they're eventually going to take your pension. They're going to take all of your accounts. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Jim Sinclair, because he's announced that he's moving out of the country. I think the signs for those of us who are awake are now significant enough that some of the truth tellers are starting to want to get out of Dodge. What do you make of Jim Sinclair leaving the country?
I respect him very much, and I feel the same way he does. Mm-hmm. I have a woman I used to go out with a number of years ago, a Parisian, and her aunt was a professor at Tufts University, and I said to her aunt, I said, Martine, she was 14 when the Nazis occupied Paris. I said, you have a family. Her brother Francois is one of the bodyguards for Mitterrand and Chirac. Her brother was commissioned to film the Louvre. Her grandfather was, Legion of Honor. I said, you came from a well-to-do family, intelligent people. I said, how could it be that you didn't leave before the Nazis occupied Paris? And I'll never forget what she said to me. She said, Gerald, she said, the people that stayed behind thought they had too much to leave behind.
Yeah.
And so I feel the same way. Look, if it comes to the point where I get the real threat and tell me to shut up, or they're going to blow my brains out, or whichever way they're going to say it, I'll get out of here. I'm not going to die for a cause. It's crazy.
No.
The odds are so much against you.
Yeah, there comes a time for pragmatism. None of us want to die for telling the truth, but until we're forced to stop, we're going to keep telling the truth. That's what we respect about you. Now, before we let you go here, we've got about 3-4 minutes left. I want to talk a little bit about the Eurozone. There's news today that the Spanish government has announced that they're going to make cuts. Significant budget cuts. And you know where they're going to come from, Gerald? From education and health benefits. Sounds a little bit like what's headed for this country, doesn't it? It sounds a little bit like austerity. And austerity, as you and I both know, means squat for the people and everything for the banks.
That's right. That's all it is. And who made up the whole thing that by screwing the people, that's going to turn the economy around? It has absolutely nothing to do with it. And there's no way out of the Eurozone crisis. They only temporarily papered it over for the holidays when they dumped in some 1.3 trillion euros to give to the banks to loan it to them at virtually zero interest rate. You know, they don't have to pay hardly anything on it. And they're getting a deal by buying those crappy bonds back. So, yes, it's all austerity. It's austerity at every level. How could it be? How could it be that here they're sending in another carrier fleet into the Persian Gulf? We're waging wars in Afghanistan. Still tens of thousands of contractors and other troops in Iraq, sending Predator drones into Yemen, into Pakistan, into Somalia, and Detroit's going bankrupt. The people on food stamps are record high. People can't find jobs. Student debt is at levels that no one ever could have made up, higher than credit card debt, over $1 trillion. And what do we do? We have a bunch of psychopaths taking us to more war. Again, Sean, if the people don't stand up, speak out, and take action, all aboard the Auschwitz Express. Kiss those calories goodbye.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going to wrap this up, but I want to ask you this, too, about the BRICS Bank, because I find this confusing. Others do. World Bank President Robert Zoellick is now calling and supporting for this BRICS Bank. At first blush, I thought it was going to be an answer to this dominant Anglo bank, this Rothschild banking cartel was going to be challenged by the BRICS Bank. Now I'm confused because the World Bank President is supporting it. What do you make of this? Is there an end game in sight so that we can finally see this criminal cartel fall? This fiat banking system needs to collapse.
Well, it's not going. Remember, corruption's worldwide. It's not. Doesn't only have the United States imprimatur on it.
Okay.
In every country you go to, you want to go to a beauty, go to Indonesia. You know. So Zelenick has said some interesting things. He's also been in favor of a basket of currencies in which gold should be part of it. So, it's not he's not all black and white from what I see.
Okay.
And that won't be a solution. It's only a part of. And matter of fact, we're writing about it extensively in this Trends Journal. We ended up with the BRIC banks, talking about a new bank. And what we're seeing is a much bigger picture. Here's the scenario. The crash of 29, the Great Depression, currency wars, trade wars, World War II. The panic of 08, the Great Recession/recession. We have currency wars going on now, trade wars next, currency trade war phase. There's no saving the financial system. You saw the employment numbers that came out last week. They were twice as bad as what they had projected on Wall Street. You're seeing what's going on in Europe, as you pointed out. The Spanish are again calling for more austerity measures because they can't get out of the mess. So there's no way out. The only way out for psychopaths is war, and that's what they're leading us to. How about that Obama, that wonderful Nobel Peace Prize winner that started the Libyan war?
Yeah.
Now Syria is on the horizon.
Sure, and turned the Libyan government over to Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, and it's a civil war going on there. Everything they touch, they turn to crap. Every government, and they get away with it.
So you're saying their goal is to take us into World War III?
Not their goal. It's what psychopaths do.
Sure.
And that's their MO. And it looks like we're going into a new one.
Okay.
And that's why I don't give investment advice. I'm in gold and some silver, but I keep buying gold.
Okay, now I know you got to go, and I want to thank you for your time. You're always generous with your time, and you're also generous with the Trends Journal. Times are tough for a lot of people. Why don't you tell folks how they can get it, even if they can't afford to maybe pay the full rate?
Well, go to trendsjournal.com, and we have there's a discount request page. Just fill it out. There's no personal information, just a couple of lines there. And we try to make it available to everyone because we want to help prepare for the future and also to help people see what's going on so they could turn it around. The future isn't etched in stone. Anyone that says that you don't, or I don't, or everyone that's listening does not create the future, is trying to rob from you your dignity of your soul and the God that lives within you. You create the future, no one else. So when enough people get that in their minds, we'll have a civilization that's much higher than the one we have now.
All right. Mr. Celente, Gerald Celente of the Trends Research Institute, thanks so much for spending time with us.
Hey, thank you, Sean.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.